Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to the conversation on TOS TV Network. This is me personally welcoming you to a beautiful Tuesday morning. The week is running by really fast and I hope you know you're running with it. I am Adesua.
And I am Merciful Ajinomo. Good morning. Good
Good
morning, Adesua.
Good morning. I was waiting for you to do that. Alright, you're doing now that before we get into the show proper, we will be bringing you the quote of the day. Napoleon Hill coming through, with the motivation for Tuesday. Just, think it, believe it, and it'll happen. I want to hear your take on that one.
Yeah, whatever the man can conceive, it can achieve. So it's more like the problem now rests on the fact that people may not be able to conceive, what they want to achieve. Because according to the quote, whatever you can conceive, you can achieve. So let's try to conceive, big things. Let's dream big, think about them and work towards it. And we'll definitely achieve them.
Yeah, so as long as you can think about it, then it's doable. Yeah, I think that's what it is. All right, we're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we will be bringing you, development across Africa. Welcome back, taking you straight, through happenings and events from across the African continent. And we'll be starting from right here in Nigeria, where we are. So Mohammed Rabi Wada, a 70-year-old man from Niger Republic who is alleged to be a supplier of drugs to bandits, have been apprehended by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that's the NDLEA, in Niger State here in Nigeria. And this was disclosed yesterday in Abuja by Femi Babafemi, the Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLEA headquarters in Abuja. The statement by Babafemi also reveals the suspect was arrested on Thursday with 10 pallets of drugs in Jeba, Niger State. It was reported that he was on his way back to the Niger Republic through Northwest, where he sells drugs to bandits, when he was nabbed in Jeba. Aloye Isaac, the Niger State commander of the NDLEA, said his arrest is a confirmation of the connection between drug abuse and insecurity in the country.
Yeah, I think this is a good one for us, this is a good one for, the measures and the strategies that we've put in place. What shocks me about this news is the fact that he's 70.
Yes.
So imagine someone who is age 70 and is being, suspected to be maybe carrying drugs. You not even believe it. So
Exactly.
I think it is a step towards the right direction for our intelligence unit, for the security forces, and it's a job well done.
And it's just surprising that we have, regular citizens, albeit, not Nigerian, from neighboring Niger Republic, but regular people having, connections, interaction, business transaction with these bandits, that we are, trying to take off, the street, take off our country and all of that stuff. The connection is kind of baffling for me.
Yeah, it is actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, we go still in Nigeria. The Deputy Senate President Ovie Omoagege has expressed his confidence in All Progressives Congress taking over the 6th state of the South region in 2023 general elections. He said this yesterday during the APC South Zone Town Hall meeting on Constitution Review in Asaba, Delta State. He said the South region is growing to become a formidable base of our great party. By the end of 2023 elections, it is our aspiration to have in our column control of all the 6 states in the region, adding that the APC has the potential to make it happen.
The build-up to 2023 election is getting interesting.
It's getting tougher and interesting at the same time, yeah?
And 2023 is 2 years away. You would think it's just next year that the elections are happening.
But that's how it has always been. Yeah?
I know,
We've seen the elections, from the past, we say 4 years. Some people even start the processes when the opposition takes control of the power.
Yeah.
Like they start their whole, the meetings and everything like that. But this one is looking like a lot of drama, a lot of controversy surrounding a lot of, people, speculations and everything. But it's interesting to, know that at the end of the day, we all have to sit and watch what happens.
Exactly. And I think it's because, the current President Muhammadu Buhari, his 8-year term is going to be ending in 2023. So it's not like the party is not going to be having like a returning candidate. So each party has to produce a fresh candidate. And I think that's where, the heat and everything is coming from. Yeah, the build up is interesting, and I'm definitely, here
Yeah,
for
and
it.
it's like an eye opener for us, as Nigerians to get involved in the election
Exactly,
process
and as
and
young
make sure
people
that
too, not just
yes,
Nigerians, young
yes,
people and women. So
everywhere in
with young
Africa
people and
actually.
women, we need to get involved and participate. And now is the time, to start, running with it. I mean, everybody's preparing, so we also have to start preparing,
True,
to take the ballots in 2023. All
true.
right, moving away from that. So staying on, President Muhammad Buhari, the president has said that his administration would leverage on gas resources to improve the economy and stabilize industrialization. Now, the president said this on Monday, that was yesterday, when he virtually launched the Decade of Gas in Nigeria at the council chamber in Abuja. During the launch, the president disclosed that one of the objectives of his administration is to transform Nigeria into an industrialized nation with the help of the gas sector. He maintained that his administration would fully utilize the enormous gas resources in the country to uplift the economy and drive industrialization. With the president at the launch, where Chief of Staff Professor Ibrahim Gambari, ASAP, Domestic and Social Events, Mal Mohammed Darko Abba, and SA to the President on Media Publicity, Femi Adesina. I think they were all present. It's interesting to see that economic improvement, economic growth, all of that is also on the front line and on the mind of the president. Despite everything that we've seen played out in the country, and even though we're vying for diversifying the economy from oil and gas,
To all the
just moving
sectors.
away from gas and then looking into other sector, because petrol, crude, whatever it is still in the oil and gas sector, right? And then so we want to industrialize the economy through the oil and gas sector. Brilliant, very welcomable, but we're still actively advocating and vying for the presidency, this administration, and the nation generally to look beyond oil and gas and just help diversify the economy through other means, whether it's agriculture, whether it's ICT, just explore other means, to help boost economic
And
growth
we're
as well.
pretty much keeping our fingers crossed, to see how it turns out at the end of the day, because
Yes.
we've heard so much, things, and we're waiting for the actions to happen.
Yes.
So if we're talking about, leveraging gas resources to improve the economy, let's start seeing the economy, get improved by everything. So that's just it for us.
I hope expectation is going to be on that one too.
Definitely.
Okay, moving
All right,
on.
moving on to still talking about Nigeria, Morocco bilateral relations. On Monday, March 29th, Morocco Africa Cultures and Development Organization has announced the creation of the Nigeria-Morocco Business Council and the signing ceremony in the presence of members of the chamber and a large delegation of entrepreneurs from Nigeria. The creation of Nigeria-Morocco Business Council is another effort to intensify African cooperation. The partnership is set to strengthen the cooperation between Morocco and Nigeria and promote the African Continental Free Trade Area to promote the interest of both countries at the sub-regional, regional, continental and international level. TOS News gathered that plans are put in place to encourage investment and cooperation in agriculture, energy, telecommunications, finance, infrastructure, tourism, science and other important sectors.
Exactly. That last paragraph just summed up,
Yeah, what
I
our
said
previous
previously.
points.
So looking at all of that sector, tourism, Nigeria is beautiful. Nigeria has so many.
I think tourism is a sector we've not fully tapped into, because remember I told you I'm a very adventurous person.
Yes, I
so
know that part.
I go out and I see, I see opportunities.
Exactly.
Like literally, I look at things and say,
sometimes you just see those tourist attractions just wasting away, right? And I think it's one part of the economy that we need to look at in this country. We need to look into the tourism sector, build it up, to attract, tourists and investment into the country. Because tourism is one way that I feel as though Nigeria can make so much money and grow,
if you ask
the
me
economy.
seriously.
Yes. It's really beautiful, and I like bilateral cooperation or bilateral relationship between countries, especially two African countries.
Africa.
It's really very welcoming, and I'm
Yeah.
my fingers are crossed. I'm very open to see how this plays out and what this does for the Nigerian economy, because I'm
And
a young
African
person,
economy
right?
as well.
And if the economy of Nigeria sees like growth and boost, it's good because like we are young, we can invest our time and energy into into the country, and so whatever boost basically that the economy gets or the nation gets, it's going to have some kind of effect on us. It's going to be like a back and forth. We give and then we get back from the country.
And by so doing, we strengthen our economy and also
Exactly.
other African countries that we
Yes,
do business
exactly.
with. So in the long run, yeah, we're working on Africa's economy at a large extent.
Exactly. All right. Having said all of that, we're going to go, on a break right now, and then in that time, we'll be bringing you COVID-19 updates from across Africa. Welcome back. That was COVID-19 update from across Africa. And the numbers, I don't want to say the numbers are kind of discouraging because we still had, over 4 million, active cases. Though there were 3.6 million or thereabout recoveries, but the number of deaths is still over 100,000, right? So that's kind of very discouraging for me because I'm very prepared to see reduction in the numbers, but reduction in the numbers of, active cases, reduction in the number of deaths, and increase. The only increase I want to see is increase in the number of recoveries.
Definitely.
Yes, exactly, and that's what we're looking at, and that's why I will continually on this show advocate for getting vaccinated, taking precautions, and doing everything necessary. Whatever measures your country or your state, if you're in Nigeria, is rolling out, please participate and get involved so that we can totally beat COVID in 2021. And if we're going to take it into 2022, we should know that it's because the vaccination processes are still ongoing and all of that stuff, and that's what it should be. All right, we're clear on that one. All right, now that I've said that, we're going to go on another break, and when we come back, Merciful and I will be taking you through what the national dailies are saying this morning.
Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget, and the budget they look. Some of them sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbeneghu, and I am the People's Journalist.
Welcome back. It's the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. And it's that time we bring you, the headlines across some of the national dailies in Nigeria. We begin with Blueprint, and from the very top, stock market begins week on bullish run, gains 145 billion naira. That story can be found on page 23 of the Blueprint newspaper. And just underneath it, we see Buhari leaves for routine medical checkup in London today. That is today, the 30th day of March 2021. And that story can be found on page 17 for the details. And underneath the Blueprint headline there, we see Insecurity Service Chief's strategies impressed governors. And that's coming from Fayemi. And just a very small headline there, Marwa and the LEA top officials undergo drug integrity test. That story can be found on page 7 of the Blueprint newspaper. We move over to the very gaping headline there. Tinubu to Buhari, NAS at 12th colloquy. Nigerians need economic stimulus, not austerity measures. And the riders underneath says, urges recruitment of 50 million youth into the army. We're better, stronger together, coming from Buhari. National integration law at the moment, that's coming from Ganduje. And address issues failing succession, restructuring, coming from page 9 on the Blueprint newspaper. And that can be found, everything can be found on page 6. And just under the picture of the day, there, where we see a picture of, Kano State Governor and the celebrant and APC national leader, Shiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Nigeria imported 4.97 trillion naira chemical products in 4 years. That's coming from MAN, and that story can be found on page 8 of the Blueprint newspaper. And the last headlines is indigenous company to tackle kidnappers, bandits with trackers. That can be found on page 7. And malnutrition, Japan donates $600,000 to Borno, Yobe State, Northern Nigeria. Page 7 that can be found on. And protesters demand extension of APC membership registration. And the story of that can be found on page 9. And FCTA moves to establish special agro-industrial zone can be found on page 8 of the Blueprint newspaper. And all these stories can be, found in the Blueprint newspaper. So pick up a copy today and read all of the stories.
Blueprint always has quite, interesting,
very interesting
headlines. So lots of headlines were quite interesting as well. Moving away from the Blueprint to the national economy, starting from the very top as always, Nigeria commences implementation of 50 billion naira export expansion facility. That's, the first story on the National Economy newspaper, and that story is there but continues on page 4. And just the very gaping headline on the National Economy today: federal government begins development of mineral resources in 6 geopolitical zones. That story is also continued on page 4 of the National Economy. And just underneath, the picture of the day, Standard Organization of Nigeria issues ultimatum to steel manufacturers and distributors. That story is also on page 4 of the National Economy. And then moving over to page 5 of the National Economy, that's the last headline on the front page of the National Economy. And it says, NIMC launches mobile app, improved NIN sleep. That one is on page 5 of the National Economy, as I said earlier.
All right, we'll move over to the Daily Trust newspaper, and we'll begin from the very top as well. Senate panel summons Emefiele again over missing $9.5 million. That story can be found on page 4. And NLNG has generated 43.3 trillion naira from gas so far. That's coming from President Muhammadu Buhari, and the story can be found on page 16 of Daily Trust newspaper. Federal government plans supplementary budget for arms purchase, COVID-19 vaccines. That can also be found on the Daily Trust. And over to the very obvious headline: release money to boost economy, Tinubu tells Buhari. And the riders say employ 50 million youths to tackle insecurity. We are stronger together, coming from President. Would need visa to move around if Nigeria breaks up. That is the Vice President Osinbajo say, and that story can be found on the Daily Trust newspaper. And Kano meeting purely about 2023, coming from a PDP stalwart. And underneath the picture of the day here, we see 34 months after Buhari on fresh medical trip to UK. That is 34 months after Buhari goes on fresh medical trip to the UK. And one killed, several injured as police Shiite clash in Abuja. You can find that story on page 10 of the Daily Trust. Anti-party PDP suspends ex-Niger Governor Babangida Aliyu. That can be found on page 30. And the last headline is fresh communal violence erupts in Oyo State. That can be found on the Daily Trust newspaper.
Quite sad one right there. And then moving over from the Daily Trust to the Daily Times, and starting from the very top, and has similar headline with the first story on the National Economy. Says federal government kicks off 50 billion naira export expansion facility programs. Then just moving over to the very gaping headline on the Daily Times. Federal government state's debt profile rises to 32.92 trillion naira. That story is on page 2 of the Daily Times, and then we see the picture of the day where a physically challenged man is now controlling traffic somewhere in Victoria Island in Lagos. That's quite, interesting. And then just underneath the picture of the day, gas. Nigeria to fully utilize gas resources to lift economy. That one is on page 2 as well. Arms supply. Buhari to approach National Assembly with special request for arms supply. And then that one is on page 4. The last headline on the Daily Times newspaper, that's on page 3, says road contract. PDP demands review of 2.12 billion naira per kilometer road cost. Alleges 642 billion naira contract padding.
All right, we move over to the very last newspaper daily for this morning that we'll be reviewing. And we'll begin, that's the leadership. We'll begin from the very top, a feature story there. Pathway Conversation Series. While delay in devolving power resources is dangerous. And that can be, the story can be found on the leadership newspaper. We move over to the very gaping headline, 600 trillion cubic feet of gas. Rising global demand brightens Nigeria's export prospect. That can be found on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. And the riders underneath says, as PNB pledges full utilization of gas resources to lift economy. Says NLNG generated $114 billion revenue, paid $18 billion dividend to federal government. That can also be found on the leadership newspaper. And just side by side picture of the day, where we see Senate President Ahmed Lawan and Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila visiting Buhari yesterday. 4,954 die on Abuja Kaduna Kano Expressway in 4 years. That's very sad. That story can be found on the leadership newspaper. And underneath the picture of the day, we see PNB travels to London for medical checkup. You see the story cut across all the newspaper headlines for today.
Yeah.
And I will support Tinubu presidency only if he declares. That's coming from Fashola, former governor of Lagos State, saying he will support Tinubu's presidency only if he comes forward to say it. We can find the details of that story on the leadership newspaper. And Nigeria imported 4.9 trillion naira chemical product in 4 years. That's coming from MEN. And federal government flags off 50 billion naira export expansion facility program. That can be found on page 21 of the leadership newspaper. Then 25 trillion naira missing under APC government is what the PDP is saying at this moment. The story can be found on page 6 of the leadership newspaper. And the very last headline for today on the leadership is Nigerian firm joins Zoom, others in $75 billion global virtual meetings app market. That can be found on page 6 of the leadership newspaper.
Quite interesting headlines. Before we wrap up and then probably ask you, which one of the headlines caught your attention? I think the one that held it for me was, the export expansion project. I know that there's a rise in global demand for raw materials. I'm not sure what it is we're going to be exporting from Nigeria, but my guess is going to be agricultural produce, right? Because I think that's what we still have abundance of that we can export, right? And so having to now allocate maybe 50 billion euros to building a facility that would enable us to manufacture more and export more from the country. That's kind of,
it's a big
because we've been advocating for Nigeria looking towards exporting, producing enough to export, and just having to be consumer nation and just having people export to us. Why wouldn't export anything back? We can't be taking and not looking towards giving. It doesnn balance things out that way, and so that's kind of very interesting for me.
Yeah,
and I saw where Fashola was saying he was going to support Tinubu
if he comes out.
Yes, they were saying he hasn't come out to say he wants to run. There's still speculation. So technically, he hasn't come out to say he wants to run. But if he does come out to say he wants to run, notwithstanding what many Nigerians think, notwithstanding the age and everything, he's still going to have supporters, because there are people who believe in his capability and his capacity, as a great leader and all of that stuff, to rule Nigeria. So there are also going to be people. There are quite a number that caught my fancy. The presidency saying going to the National Assembly to ask for funds to acquire more arms, and I'm like, but it has been said over time that the military or security forces in Nigeria have weapons, enough arms to combat insecurity in the country. So why are we looking towards getting more arms?
I think it's kind of like a reaction to what Nigerians have been saying. We've always had issues on Twitter where people are trending for saying, look, the arms that they have, fighting insecurity and bandits is not enough, when compared to the insurgent, the kind of arm they have, their arsenal cannot be compared. So I think it's more like a reaction to that, the controversial topics.
But do you think? What do you think? Do you think it's a right step at this time that we should be looking towards, acquiring more arms as a measure to combat insecurity?
For me, personally, looking at what we have seen in the past, the short video clips of, some insurgents recording themselves, showing their huge arsenal, we keep saying, look, these guys, they are actually well equipped with these arms. Can our, security forces match them? We're not supposed to look at matching them. We're supposed to look at we having
more sophisticated weapons.
More sophisticated weapons. So
they do, yes.
I think this is actually the right steps towards, combating insecurity. And still on insecurity, the very story that, caught my attention the most was the one on Blueprints where it says indigenous company to tackle kidnappers by
with tracking.
That is something towards, that's a step towards the right direction.
That's using technology and innovation, it's combating insecurity.
So we always
different measures.
Different
They're
measures,
looking into different measures now.
Yesterday we spoke about, when President Muhammad Buhari said, we'll be inviting external forces to help. So this is what we need at this moment.
It's very welcoming.
Anything that will be done to make sure that we don't come here every day to talk about one issue of insecurity or the bandits kidnapping. I think it's the right step towards.
It's right. So it's very welcoming. We're looking towards technology innovation. We're looking towards acquiring more arms, looking towards partnership. And then as to what Tinubu is saying, look, maybe you should employ more 50 million young Nigerians into the military. But that one I'm kind of very skeptical.
I'm very skeptical. I think it's something I would like to read about.
Yes, I'm very skeptical about that because first of all, this 50 million, are they interested in joining the military?
That is the point.
Do you understand?
That is the point.
Exactly. So it's sketchy. So that's why you should get yourself a copy, of these dailies that were read out to you, and then so you can be fully abreast with everything that's happening, and then you can give us your opinion. Just go on our social media handles. It's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and also you can check our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. We want to know what you think, and you can air your opinion and your views across our social media platforms. All right, that's what you can take on the newspaper headline segment of the conversation. Now we're going to go on a break, and when we do come back, I was taking you through what is trending or what has been trending on social media. Welcome back. It's still the conversation on TOS Television Network, and it's about that time where I bring you or take you through, the hashtag that made it to the top of the trend table. And if you've been following us through, especially when we're talking about issues across the national dailies, across the newspaper, you'd have heard us talk about President Muhammad Buhari, that's Nigeria's president, going on a medical trip abroad today. Now that's like 34 months after his last medical trip, and I think that was before COVID hit. And then so that reactions have trailed the news of him going abroad for medical checkup, not just a trip. He went for medical checkup today, and I'm going to take out. Read out some tweets to that regards to you. The first one is from Savi Renu, and she says, Buhari is leaving for medical checkup in the UK. How many times has Boris Johnson come to Nigeria for medical checkup? And then the second one is from B. Bellingham. And then that's in reaction, to the presidential spokesperson Garba Shehu saying the president has proceeded to London, for routine medical checkup. And he says, doctors are going on strike April 1st because of lack of pay. 2 days before that, Buhari goes to a foreign country for medical checkup, where our taxpayers will foot the bill. We are paying for Buhari's foreign checkup while our doctors suffer without pay. Shameful. And then this one is from Shadrach Goni. Why will Buhari travel to London for medical checkup? Don't we have hospitals here? Over 9 billion used for Aso Rock Clinic, but he can't do medical check there. Well done, Mr. Integrity. Nemesis catch up with supporters of evil, bad governance. And then the last one is from Uche Sane, and he says, Baba is indeed a hard-working president. He truly deserves that medical checkup in the UK. Baba, go well. While you're there, if you hear that Nigeria has been kidnapped, Kuku, stay back and relax. I think that's what I liked. Very sarcastic
comment right there.
Very sarcastic comment, and he had the picture of the president, at his desk, working and all of that stuff. But I know reactions have always showed, our leaders going abroad for medical checkup, medical tourism, basically, and I think when COVID hit and they couldn't travel, it gave Nigerians some sort of relief and some sort of joy as now you can see that you need to invest into a medical system. You need to put these monies here so that we can actually curb medical tourism, and what monies we're going to be spending in the UK and in India, wherever we can bring it here, invest it in our medical sector, boost it enough so we can have. Even doctors would not be looking towards going abroad to say, look, I'm going to go work abroad instead of coming to work here. So we have, qualified enough medical personnel, we have enough medical facilities and everything, to cater to our leaders or high profile, citizens that constantly go abroad for checkup. And so we thought we were done with that part. And then we heard that, the president is going, to the UK 34 months later, for medical checkup. And I was like, oh, we're back here. We thought like you guys have seen that we need to invest this money here. So what's happening? Is it that, the whole 1 year that, we used to tackle COVID, nothing was done to improve the health sector in Nigeria, enough that, we could actually cater to, medical tourism and all of that. And I think and then another perspective is where we do know that doctors have said they were going to embark on an indefinite strike. Indefinite, not just, warning strike, indefinite strike. On the 1st of April.
It's coincidentally 2 days
That's
before.
like in 2 days' time. And then we hear that the president is traveling, going for a medical checkup 2 days before. And it's like, are you not taking us serious or something? That is my personal opinion anyway. It's like, doctors are going on strike. You're supposed to, looking towards how can this not happen? Because we need these doctors at this time, right? If doctors go on strike, we bear the brunt of it. It's okay because you guys, you don't go to the hospitals here and all of that stuff. So it's easy for you guys to travel abroad and get medical checkup. But what happens to us here that we're stuck here with these doctors that are actually going on strike? Well, what's going to happen? So before we wrap up this segment,
we really do understand, yes, that there's room for, specialization of, the medical, industry, professionals and everything, because we may not have every kind of doctor in a hospital, or we may not have specialized. I'm asking. No, I'm saying something.
Okay,
yeah. It's still a process. Yeah, we should have
exactly,
but it's only normal because Nigeria is one of the countries where is one of such countries where you have to diversify. You leave a hospital to another hospital because a doctor cannot be found in the hospital.
Yes.
That is a point.
Yeah.
But it should not be at the detriment of our system.
Exactly.
What I mean is our medical system. Like if nothing is being done, we can't have this as a routine. Now, the thing was, the statement read, a routine checkup, meaning it's something that keeps happening, it has happened. So what are we really doing to make sure that our medical systems, the structures are put in place? Because we can't really have this happening.
We can't even bear the cost of it at this point. All right, so we're just going to keep advocating, you know, just constantly keep advocating that our health sector in Nigeria is properly looked into and then invested in. Whatever we need to do to actually boost the health sector in Nigeria is quite important. Not quite, very important.
Very important
at this time. That's so much, you know, we can take on the trending on social media segment of the conversation. Now we're going to go on what I like to call the most important break of all. And when we come back, we will be, you know, bringing you the big story.
You're welcome back. It's still the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. And of course, it's that time again where we'll bring you the crux of the program, the big story. Around the world, unemployment, affects 67.6 million young people, while the global youth unemployment rate currently stands at 13.6%. The number varies drastically by region. The jobless rate in Nigeria rose to 33.3% in the 3 months through December, according to a report published by National Bureau of Statistics on its website Monday. That is up from 27.1% in the second quarter of 2020. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has warned that the rising insecurity in Nigeria is a result of rising youth unemployment. He urged Nigeria to tackle out-of-school children cases, pay a monthly stipend to poorer families, incorporate youth who are above school age into a massive public works programs, and others. Joining us today on the show this morning to talk about this issue is Mr. Adebayo Fajimi, a journalist. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, first of all, can you give us a picture of what the unemployment rate in Nigeria looks like and how it relates to insecurity?
Well, thank you once again for having me. If we look at it critically, unemployment in Nigeria is a big menace, that we are caught with. Not just now, it's been a recurrent issue over time. On March 15, the National Bureau of Statistics, gave us another result that, the percentage hit 3.3%, which is, a huge number. And if you recall, I think sometimes in 2020, if I remember, August to be precise, Nigeria was reported to be, a world poverty capital as well. So when you look at this issue, it's a big menace, staring at us. And when there is unemployment, people cannot work, people cannot eat. In fact, according to a great essayist, Sam Omate, he said more and more people depend, not because they cannot work, but because they cannot earn. But if you look at it in Nigeria today, those who are working, can they earn? They can't. And when you have no means to work to earn, then what do you resort to? But people must live, you must survive. So since there is no means for you to work to earn, then you look for another means. And that results into insecurity. And insecurity we are, looking at or, battling with today is not just about kidnapping people and killing them. People are being kidnapped, and being paid for ransom. So that is the picture before us.
So when you say earn, working on earn, do you mean like salaries being paid, or are there some kind of jobs that you get paid for salaries but you're not earning? I want to demystify the concept of the word earn, because you say people work and they do not earn, so we understand.
It is something for you to work and earn. When you work, there is a targeted, expectation, like, profit and things like that. Now, look at it, from this perspective. The rate at which things are increasing. Go to the marketplace, and if you look at it, I think the minimum wage, people have been talking about over and over again. How much can it sustain a family?
Okay.
of 2, of 3.
Okay.
Now, okay. So now, if you look at it again, you know, you work, you cannot earn. Even if you have been taking, I mean, if you are taking salary or if you are a business owner, how much is coming to you as a profit at the end of the month?
Okay.
So basically, it's about, you know, having money but not having so much, like enough to take care of your basic
Exactly.
needs. That's what you're talking about. So before, you know, I ask you, you know, whatever I was going to ask you before, you're of the opinion that unemployment is one of the leading causes of insecurity in Nigeria.
Course.
You're.
Yes.
So, but they've always been, you know, the advocacy that, you know, when we create more jobs, we should create more jobs so we can, you know, actually curb insecurity in the. But how do you think we can do this? Do you think we can actually achieve this at this point, and how?
Well, personally, it's my personal opinion anyway. I don't think we can, you know, do that at this point in time.
Okay.
And if we are to do that, you know, the onus burns, you know, on the policymakers. One, I don't know if I'm, you know, running ahead of you, until we are able to curb corruption, inequality, and unemployment. If those 3 areas are not critically addressed, then we should forget about insecurity.
So, but my take is, you don't believe that even if we create more jobs, if more jobs in the country or more jobs are created for young people in the country, we can at least, you know, reduce unemployment to the barest minimum.
Sorry, my own question, rather. Sorry, I'm asking you a question at this point in time.
Okay.
What are those that will create the job?
Well, government, private sectors, individuals. I think it has to be a collaborative effort at this point.
But are they ready? That is the question.
Are they ready to create jobs? Or
Are they ready to create the jobs? Sorry, I think yesterday the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Tinubu, said in Kano State that 50 million people
should be enlisted into the army. Yeah.
So, okay, the military sector we're talking about, just last year, we had a number of, you know, these military personnel that willingly said, you know, they are no longer interested in this thing, and we know the quantum of corruption that is going on in that sector. So what are we talking about?
So your point is corruption seems to be like a connection between insecurity and unemployment.
Not even a connection.
But
it's
one
of the main sources of that menace.
Okay, so but what would you now say is actually, you know, the main cause of unemployment in Nigeria at this point?
Well, number one, I repeat, corruption and inequality. If we can, you know, the aspect of unemployment, you know, is just, you know, a partial aspect of it. But if corruption can be curtailed and, you know, resources of government, the nation's resources are being deployed to, you know, to be used at the appropriate place, of course we achieve this. Now, I give you an instance that there was a research I did sometimes last year, you know, in my state. A particular, you know, local government chairman, you know, in their own cabal, they used to have this monthly contribution. And from my own investigation, this man was said to be contributing ₦1 million, you know, in that cooperative society. Where is he getting the money? Where is he getting the money?
So corruption, I was going to ask you, when you say corruption in what regard? Because we know corruption has, you know, different
corruption branches. Among the policymakers.
Okay.
So they are earning more than what they ought to be earning. And even the one they ought to be using, you know, to give dividends of democracy, you know, to the society, you know, it's going to their personal account. That's why you see money laundering, you know, here and there and things like that. So if this can be curtailed, I believe, you know, that will reduce the inequality.
Okay.
You know, you see a policymaker who suddenly turned a politician, you know. But yesterday, you know, you are on the streets, you know, doing things together, but all of a sudden things changed. Then if you look at this, you know, Africa, particularly Nigeria, you know, as a male-dominated society, we don't have regard for females.
Okay.
You know, we don't have regard for females. We think, you know, they are just, you know, baby machine and things like that. So, and they have major roles to play in building the economic of the nation. But in Nigeria, we don't have, you know, we don't have regard to them. I mean, for them, we don't have respect for them. So, if all these things can be critically addressed, I believe this can solve or better solve the the insecurity or whatever we call it in Nigeria of today.
Okay, so to get you clear, by inequality, you don't mean economic imbalance. So, having like the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, or you're talking about
Yes,
gender imbalance.
yes, it's also part of it. The rich know themselves, the poor know themselves. If you go to developing countries, China for instance, I have an uncle who lives there. You cannot, if Dangote lives in China, you will not be able to differentiate between a Dangote and even me sitting before you today. Okay. So everybody is equal there. But here in Nigeria,
so how do we
all
find
animals
a
are
balance?
not equal here.
In your opinion, how do we find a balance? How do we balance that out?
Well, we still need to talk to the policymakers,
okay.
To do the needful. Okay. Let them perform their constitutional roles. Let what is meant for the nation be accessible to you, whether you are old, you are young, regardless of your status. So if that can be, if we have that mindset that the same right Dangote has is the same right I have as a citizen, then of course it is solved.
Okay.
Let's look at this different concepts was talked about, from the start of the show. You was talking about corruption, inequality, and unemployment. Let's take unemployment as a very singular factor.
Okay.
Now, would you? Is it possible for the rate of insecurity to be curbed if the issue of unemployment alone is addressed? And how curbed will it be? Like how addressed will it be? Will it be to a very obvious point where we say yes, this issue has it has been solved, or do you think every other variable you spoke about, corruption, inequality, must be be treated before we can get to that issue, that part?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. From my own perspective, if that unemployment can be addressed, that the larger percentage of the youth have job, whether government job, business that is thriving or whatever you call it, if that can be, I give you an instance. I have a friend, he just finished his PhD from University of Ilorin, and I think about 3 years ago he was unemployed. And each time we talk, what he tells me is, God, this is what is coming into my mind. I will say, why are you thinking like this? All manner of bad thinking always come to his mind. He stays at home, he has business that is not thriving, that was not thriving. And that because he's always around, girls always want to hang around him. In fact, he was even telling me that there was a time he wanted to do what he ought not to do. But thankfully, just last month, he phoned me and he said, "Guy, I got a job in Lagos."
Amazing.
And when we were talking, I said, "Okay, how about all the things?" He said, "I don't even have the time." He goes to work. When you live in Lagos, you know how the system looks like. He goes to work 5 a.m., he comes back 12 a.m. So how do you have time for inanities? Okay. How do you have time for nefarious activities? When you are engaged, your mind is engaged. So it is because the body is not engaged. That is why the mind is not engaged. So if everybody can be critically engaged, you have one or two things, productive things that you are doing. How will you have time to think and you want to go and kidnap people? You have sources, of means of livelihood. You can never think about that.
Okay, but before we let you go, because we're out of time, I know that this argument about unemployment being the leading cause of insecurity has been on the front burner for quite some time now, and then there were people that were of the school of thought that they don't agree with that perspective, because they know a huge number of young people who are gainfully employed, who have stuff to do, but are still very very much involved in issues of insecurity and fraudulent activities and all of that stuff. So they cannot really say unemployment is actually the cause of insecurity in Nigeria. What is your take on that?
Well, to me, I still maintain that perspective, because like in my home dialect, there is a proverb that says, "An hungry," oh, it's not even in my own dialect, it's a popular saying that an hungry man is an angry man. And when you are hungry, extremely hungry, you can go to extra mile just to satisfy your appetite at that point in time, and you can do anything to achieve that.
But that hunger might not be a hunger for food, if we look at it from that perspective.
But in Nigerian case of today, it is the place of hunger, extreme hunger. So if you go to the streets, you know what people are talking about. Many Nigerians of today are not even struggling, particularly about having cars, building house. The first mission before them is, how will I survive today? What will I eat? What will my children eat? It's not about cars, it's not about building mansion. It is food before all these things we're talking about.
Let's just I know we're out of time, but let's talk about some of the other alternatives, because talking about the perspective, you know, she said some people are of the opinion that they don't think they are closely related, because we have people who still have a means of, you know, income
livelihood,
and still, you know, engaging in this insurgency. So let's talk about alternatives. Is there do you think there's a yardstick? Like, is this enough yardstick for the people to keep engaging in the, you know, issue of insecurity, insurgency, banditry, and everything? Do you think there's something else that they can do if the issue of unemployment is not, you know, tackled?
Sorry, I want you to reframe that question, so please.
So now I'm asking here,
okay,
is this enough yardstick for, you know, unemployed people to keep engaging in, you know, banditry, kidnapping, you know, and every other thing? Do you think there's an alternative that, you know, people in that line of unemployment, they can, you know, tap into all other, you know, means of income or anything?
You understand? It's like saying, okay, since jobs are not forthcoming, but instead of, you know, engaging in you know activities that promote insecurity and, you know, stuff like that in the country, what can you channel as a young person that energy into?
Of course, I will say that there is need for them to be entrepreneurial. They need to inculcate this entrepreneurial spirit. There are many, you know, young Nigerians out there who, as a result of, you know, unemployment, have discovered purpose, have discovered passion, you know, and they are excelling in their endeavors today. So I would just say, you know, regardless of the situation, those people, you know, there is this innate talent that God has given to everybody. They can discover themselves, you know, discover names around themselves, you know, just find names, and you made the names, and gradually, you know, you begin to grow. And they should also stop this quick fix mindset. So if they don't have that mindset and you are focused, you know, you discover needs around you and you are meeting the need, before you know it, you grow. So apart from you know, government job, I believe there is much we can do for ourselves to make the most of our lives.
Thank you so much
Thank you very
for
much.
coming on the show. Thank you so much, Adeba. It was such a pleasure to have you this morning.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for joining the conversation this morning. Don't forget, the conversation comes back to you tomorrow on TOS Television Network. And don't also forget, you can be a part of the community. As I always say, follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also check out our YouTube channel, TOS TV Network. We have an amazing lineup of programs there for you. Also, look at our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. I'm Adesua. I'll see you.
And I am Merciful Ajinimo. Thank you so much for watching.